So one of the biggest things regarding the Boruto manga for years now that's been talked about, that's been theorized, that people have been going nuts over, is the identity of the masked man known as Kashin Koji. I think just about everybody that has read the Boruto manga has at some given point at the very least thought, this guy, every aspect, every certain plot point, every certain foreshadowing has kind of led everyone to believe that Kashin Koji was truly Jiraiya. And that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to talk about with this video, because as of chapter 45, we got a huge bombshell on the identity of Kashin Koji. But one of the things that I feel personally is very important is the impact that it's going to have moving forward in the story on Naruto. Let's talk about it.
I say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move. That's how it be though.
So at the end of chapter 45, the latest chapter as of the recording of this video of Boruto, Kashin Koji, the man that many have speculated and theorized is truly Jiraiya, he said something very, very important that blew open the possibilities of everything going on in the story, and that's that he was created to kill Jigen. Now, I've been rewatching the Naruto Shippuden anime bits, at the very least arcs, and one of the things that I rewatched recently was the Pain Invasion arc, in particular the Jiraiya versus Pain fight. And by the way, that shit still stands. That's still one of the best stuff of the entirety of Naruto, one of the best fights, one of the best deaths, one of the best stories. It was just fantastic. But one of the things that stood out to me, and to this day it still always bothered me, and it always felt like, man, it was great development for Naruto, it did wonders for him. He probably would not have turned out exactly the way he did at the end of the story, and of course in the Boruto series, if this didn't happen. And that was of course Jiraiya's death. But also a big element was that Naruto wanted Jiraiya to be able to see him become Hokage, and that was very painful for all of us, because we always wanted that moment. You know, Jiraiya was one of the very few people that early on accepted Naruto, created a bond with him, brought him along, trained him, did everything he could for him. You know, that opening 6 of Shippuden, to this day, whenever I see that, it freaking hits the feel so hard. I realize the screaming pain, like, yo, that shit blows my heart. Because aside from like Iruka Sensei and the little Team 7 build-up that we had a few arcs, there wasn't many people, especially early on. We know the story of Naruto. He was hated, he was treated like trash, he was ostracized and everything. So to see that Jiraiya actually, you know, gave him a bond of like a grandfatherly figure, or, you know, even to a certain degree a fatherly figure that he just really didn't have, it was incredible. And it left us all broken up. That scene where Naruto is sitting on the bench crying, and I believe it was Shikamaru that had that conversation with him, and just in general the trauma that led from there was, again, major character development for Naruto. Now fast forward to what's going on in the manga right now. Of course, Kashin Koji, the masked man, which seemingly is some sort of android cyborg, basically a creation to a certain degree from Amado from the Kara group. And there's certain aspects of it, because if he's a cyborg, then there's a huge possibility that he was not only, they're not just robots, they're possibly similar to like androids. Like they had a human body or some sort of body at first, but then they were essentially created to be what they are. And the way things are being set up right now, it just kind of made me really realize something. With the whole streaming that's going on of the fights of Kashin Koji versus Jigen via that frog, which I still find hilarious. We're watching a Twitch stream or a YouTube live or an IG live via the Hokage's office. It's very, very telling and very impactful of what could potentially happen, because it's only a matter of time, whether it be chapter 46, 47, or a future event where potentially Kashin Koji's mask will come off. And on top of that, Amado is there, and he's been giving a lot of info, and he's still, to this particular point, it's still giving more info on the Kara group and everything that led up until this point. But here's where I see certain aspects going, because if he's having an all-out battle against Jigen, Kashin Koji, then that mask is going to come off. Again, it could be a few chapters from now, it could be whenever, but in particular, I think it would be very, very strong, very strategic, and I don't know exactly which way it could go, but I have a few theories of if that mask comes off while Hokage Naruto is in his office watching that live stream, the impact that it's going to have on Naruto is going to be incredible. Because let's just say, hypothetically speaking, the mask comes off while Naruto is there, and Kashin Koji is indeed killed on that live stream. Once again, it'll add to wow, even after everything, even after the entirety of the story moving forward, and you know, it's been years since the Pain Invasion and everything that happened all those years ago, it would show that despite Jiraiya essentially being alive, which I feel as though it would be wasted in a way, but Naruto still couldn't have Jiraiya see him become Hokage or see him as the Hokage, because it's not still 100% clarified yet if Kashin Koji is Jiraiya or if he is a cybernetic creation based on maybe like a offspring that Jiraiya had at some given point, or what's going on there. But I go back to, I want to say it was chapter 16, page 16 of Boruto, where Kashin Koji says, "The land of fire, Konoha village. I seem to be linked by fate to that village." Now, why would he say that unless, again, he has some sort of connections to there? And so Naruto seeing Kashin Koji be unmasked during the fight, while, yeah, it'd be humongous, his reaction alone will be priceless, because it's like, holy cow, he'll see basically that to a certain degree, potentially, Jiraiya is still around. Whether, again, he's a cybernetic creation, maybe he has some of Jiraiya's DNA, some of Jiraiya's chakra, or somehow, some way, Amado was able to obtain Jiraiya's corpse after his death, whether he dove into the water. Because if you think about it, if he was creating these cybernetic beings, there's a possibility that they were actually able to dive down and retrieve Jiraiya's body. Like a regular shinobi, because they're still technically human beings, wouldn't be able to dive into the water, but a robot that has the capabilities, or a cyborg, would be able to actually dive down and retrieve Jiraiya's body. Which kind of makes me think now, like, couldn't Kabuto have just sent, when he said like, oh, his body was too deep for him to, like, couldn't he have just sent the Neto Tensei down there? Like, Neto Tensei don't die, so wouldn't they be able to retrieve Jiraiya's body? But anyway, so there's a huge possibility that Naruto is able to see that this is Jiraiya, but where do we go from there? Does Kashin Koji die in this battle against Jigen, once again having never been able to have Naruto be reunited with Jiraiya after him becoming Hokage? Or do we unmask him at this point, allow him to survive, and then later on at a different fight or at a different event, he returns, Kashin Koji still being alive, or whatever the heck you would call him, and then once again Naruto gets to reunite finally at last with Jiraiya and have one final conversation. Again, all of this assuming that Kashin Koji has whether the memories, the chakra, something of Jiraiya. Because to be honest with you, all of this would kind of to a certain degree feel like somewhat of a waste if it turns out that that was Jiraiya, but he dies in this fight against Jigen. I don't think anybody in this fight against, you know, Kashin Koji versus Jigen, neither one of them can really die, because, you know, Jigen, or aka Ishiki Otsutsuki, is the whole main villain of the Otsutsuki and the main villain of Boruto at this particular point. He can't die at the hands of Kashin Koji, because that right needs to be reserved for the main characters, Naruto, Boruto, and, you know, all of those characters, so he can't technically die. And then if Kashin Koji is defeated and murdered at the hands of Jigen, then what was the point of all this build up, the mystique behind his identity, if he's not able to interact with Naruto? Because if anything, that's one of the biggest reasons to revive Jiraiya. It's like, yeah, it's a crazy mystery, it's awesome, but also you want to be able to see Naruto's interaction with revived, or whatever you want to call it, Jiraiya. So more than likely, one of them will probably either be assumed dead, or there's a possibility that, I mean, we could go a whole other emotional route, is that, again, this is all being live streamed, so Naruto is seeing it during real time. Naruto could see that Kashin Koji is unmasked, that turns out to be Jiraiya. He could immediately try to tell Sasuke, like, yo, bring me over there right now, I need to be there. And he could essentially stop Kashin Koji from being murdered by Jigen and take him. Or he could witness, again, Jiraiya die for a second time, get really freaking mad, and we could have a round 2 of Naruto versus Jigen. Because just imagine Naruto having to experience for the second time, but also witness for the first time Jiraiya's death with his own eyes. Again, even though it's Kashin Koji, it would still, if that was his identity, it'd be devastating. So there's so much that could come from all this, but definitely Naruto's first interaction or first witnessing of who Kashin Koji is, if it truly turns out to be Jiraiya, the impact on Naruto is going to be the pivotal factor, and probably the most, not even probably, definitely the most important reason of bringing back Jiraiya. Because I mean, like, Tsunade would have been another good reason to have him involved, because, you know, there was a big relationship there, even Orochimaru, but Tsunade, not relevant in Boruto at all. The long list of other characters that should be relevant, like Guy. Why revive Guy if you're not going to have him do shit in Boruto. Anyway, Orochimaru, he could be relevant at some given point, but he's been playing a backseat role as well. So really the big reason to bring back Jiraiya or have somewhat Jiraiya return would be for Naruto's interaction with him. So I'm definitely curious what a lot of you guys think is going to go down. Do you think that either A, Naruto is going to witness Kashin Koji's identity be revealed and be Jiraiya and Jigen's going to kill him on the spot? B, Koji is going to somehow survive the fight against Jigen, maybe disappear, return at a different time, and Naruto is going to have that one-on-one final interaction with a Jiraiya revival essentially, and be able to say, yo, I did it, I became Hokage. Just how you think this is all going to play out? Because again, the pivotal factor, the most important reason I see of why, Jiraiya would return, aside from, the plot reasons of like, hey, Amado wanted somebody strong, somebody trustworthy, somebody that could infiltrate Konoha, yada yada, would be for Naruto's interaction and how impactful that would be. Not to mention the whole anime thing when they ever, adapt this into the anime, the interaction of Boruto seeing him again because he got to witness him in the past of, the flashback when they went back in time. So a lot of really interesting stuff. Curious again, your thoughts on this, how you think this is all going to play out. Naruto's reaction to Kashin Koji, Jiraiya potentially, when his identity is revealed and the mask comes off. And your world thoughts and expectations for the Boruto manga moving forward. Again, Boruto has been freaking crazy. Kashin Koji's identity, one of the biggest mysteries and one of the best things about Boruto right now. It's exciting, and if this turns out to be Jiraiya, Naruto's reaction is going to be priceless. That's all I have for this one though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and woo, if Koji turns out to be a Jiraiya recreation or a Jiraiya cyborg, Naruto, he'd probably break down in tears. His shock alone is going to be very, wow.
Everything good always comes to an end. If you stab me in my back, we can never make amends. Trying to move to acceptance, hard to accept it. Mistakes like mirrors, gotta reflect it. I don't wanna fucking leave, but I gotta leave the maybes to the crazies. Maybe one day there I go, admitting something in a subtle way. No more copies, leave without a trace.